Welcome back to week 2 of the... Oh, wait. I guess we're not in week 2. Wait a second. Let me try that again. All right. Welcome back to the second episode of week 1 of the DDI. Here we're tackling the Group 1 matches. So here we have Riley against Andrew. We have Sun as... Riley's first pick against Deoxys, which is Andrew's first pick. And with me here today, I actually have Riley to talk about this game here. So Riley, what are, going into this match, what were some big things that you were afraid of from Andrew's team? What was kind of like your overall understanding of the matchup and a game plan here?
Well, thank you for having me. One of the biggest things looking at Andrew's team that I feel like anyone that looks at his team can immediately, the first thing that jumps to mind is that Deoxys.
Yeah, that is
the amount of damage
attack
that it can output,
with download.
It can basically wipe out one Mon. He gets basically a free KO.
Yeah,
on almost any of my Mons. Maybe my Clefable might be able to live one. But
yeah, like a Life Orb Psycho Boost, even if even if you manage to give the Deoxys an attack raise from download instead of special attack, it still can pick up pretty much anything, I think.
Yeah, it does so much damage. And so how I kind of was going in was like, all right, the first thing I need to do is just live turn 1 and not get 2 Pokemon, or either 2 of my Pokemon or my Typhlosion, because my game plan for this was to get Sun up, get Tailwind up, and then draw enough attention away from my Typhlosion to just hit it with a Specs boosted Eruption and just kill it, basically his entire team. Yeah. And it was very much like trying to create a board where Typhlosion can get off these powerful Sun boosted, Helping Hand boosted Eruptions. The biggest thing that I really want, if I wasn't able to get my Typhlosion up, definitely bring the Salamence as a cleanup sweeper. And if needed, something like Protect and Explosion on my Salamence to just take out what he has and potentially just clear the board.
Gotcha. So it sounds like Andrew's got a lot of Follow Me users, but you've got Eruption, you've got Explosion to get around it, and it's going to be a very Typhlosion-centered plan, and you do have some Chlorophyll users. Cloud9 on Electivire will be tough for that, but you do have some other methods of redirection speed control as well, so it'll be really interesting. So we've got the match started here. Deoxys's attack is reduced, as is Electivire's. Ooh, and that is an attack raise from Deoxys, so I think that's definitely good news. And it's a special Electivire. So this is an interesting position. So do you have... I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Are you trying to set up with Salamence here? Are you trying to just deal damage? I guess we're about to see, aren't we?
Yeah. He just goes straight for the Psycho Boost, off rip, and just... Salamence just doesn't stand a chance. The plan was, if he goes for Jumpluff, then I go with Earthquake on the Salamence.
Ooh, yep.
So they can basically have to pick between, are you going to let me get Tailwind up, or are you going to let me just hit you with Eruption? Or hit you with Earthquake. My apologies.
No, and the speed tiers here are super important, with the Jumpluff being able to outpace that taunt. I do wonder how much speed was put into the Electivire to maybe try and speed creep Jumpluff there. Yeah, Earthquake is such a threatening option. It kind of forces the Psycho Boost into that slot, I feel like. Because otherwise, Deoxys definitely doesn't take that hit with its low base stat total. Electivire will definitely not like taking that hit, regardless of anything at all. I guess it is Shuka Berry, but still wouldn't love it.
The main thing with Earthquake was to mainly try and get the Electivire out of the way, so that way I can utilize the Sun as much as I can.
Gotcha.
Power up my moves and also to give Jumpluff the doubled speed, but...
Yeah, Jumpluff was definitely threatening there, but you also don't necessarily need it. I guess the interesting thing here is that Cloud9 is in effect. So even though we do... Yeah. Oh, actually, not anymore, just kidding. Yeah. So I was going to say, I was going to be interested to see how much Eruption would do into Electivire with Cloud9 being in effect. But instead, we're just going to see this Protect from Deoxys. We're going to see the pivot into, I believe, Focus-Weavile. So just kind of like an interesting repositioning turn as Typhlosion is introduced here.
And notably, we're playing on Pokemon Battle Revolution and not Generation 4, and especially not Generation 9 VGC, which is what I'm used to. And that makes this turn very crucial, because I learned something very different that happens in PBR versus what I'm used to playing.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of very different interactions going on here, but go on.
The biggest thing is how Follow Me works in this game specifically, because I will be 100% honest, in the moment, I forgot that Follow Me is normally +2 and not +3, whereas Fake Out is a +3 priority move.
Yeah, in Gen 9 VGC, Fake Out always goes first, but here, Clefable is able to redirect it.
Yeah, which, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm in such a good spot.
I know. I mean, that's actually wild that you didn't know that in advance, because I mean that must have been an awesome surprise. Because I mean, like, the thing is, had you known that, I feel like you would have made the exact plays you made to position that Clefable next to the Typhlosion, because it's such, with Sunup, with that being the last turn of Tailwind there, because Tailwind is shorter in Gen 4.
Yeah,
that was just such a unavoidable and brutal kind of pin there. Which I'm not even sure Andrew was aware either of the speed tiers.
It was, we were both kind of like, wait, what? But at this point, I have gotten a lot of, like, I have that, like, board set up where it's like, okay, I have a Follow Me redirect user, I have Typhlosion, I can just kind of go boom.
Yeah, it's like Typhlosion's kind of the only offensive piece remaining, but you have so much great support around it. I'm not sure you need much else at this stage. So this is So this is interesting. A Helping Hand, Electivire, Follow Me goes. So I guess my question is, did Staraptor go for extreme speed? I imagine, yes, it did. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, in Gen 9, that extreme speed again probably would have hit into the Typhlosion. But here in Gen 4, I think Follow Me is increased priority. It might be +3. And that just lets Typhlosion go absolutely nuts. What's crazy to me is that actually wasn't a Sun boosted Eruption.
Yeah, no, that's not Sun boosted.
So that's actually crazy and such good information potentially for later in the tournament that just one-shots Electivire, which I personally am kind of shocked by, because that is Cloud 9 Electivire, meaning that even though I think we have the visual effects of the Sun, it's not technically active and is not boosting any damage there. So that was really, really cool to see. I think that just, especially that last turn, shows just how oppressive Sun and Typhlosion is going to be in this tournament as a whole.
It very much, like, this is a very fast match, but in this very, like, 4-turn match, you get so much information about that we can use later on in the tournament, with specifically Follow Me, which was one of the biggest things that I wanted Clefable for, which was a big, bulky redirector and support mod, which Clefable had put in some of the biggest amount of work this entire tournament. And I'm very happy, and I'm very glad things went my way in this, because it led me to make certain plays later on, and it gave me a lot of information.
I mean, you definitely learned about how Gen 4 Pokemon Battle Revolution works just by watching this match, and it also, I think, just shows how powerful your spread attacks are as well, because Andrew's got 2 Follow Me users on his team, but Eruption doesn't care.
I'm pretty sure he drafted Follow Me, which, going into Andrew, I was like, okay, he's got the Follow Me, so I need to just rely on my spread damage moves to get around it.
Yeah, no, and that was a great game plan, a great first round, and yeah, congrats on that round 1 win.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Here we are at the second match in Group 1 here. We have Britain against Charpy. These are two really interesting teams, I think. Basically, Tailglow Manaphy is a lot of what Brent's side is centered around, and Serene Grace Garchomp is a lot of what Sharpie's team is centered around, and specifically what I would find most dangerous on his side of the field. Riley is still here with me, fresh off that victory against Andrew. What are the key Pokemon do you think might make an appearance in this one?
Definitely like looking at Sharpie's team, because especially in the draft when I was there and I see him pick up Heatran and Garchomp and Tyranitar. These are strong Generation 4 Pokemon that are so notable and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Sharpie's team just looks so classic and just it looks like a VGC team.
It's
way
like
more
this is
compared to
stuff
all
that
of
I would
ours.
see back in like 2009. It's like, yeah, and
Yeah,
this is
no, I mean,
at all
his was
no
definitely one
knock
of the
to Brit, 'cause
scariest
he
ones.
has, yeah, Brit also has scary stuff with Togekiss being an absolute nightmare that it always is.
Yeah, I feel like Brit's stuff is like Sharpie's stuff is scarier in that it's like classically strong and you know for a fact it's proven and can deal a lot of damage. I feel like Brit's is scarier because it just he's got so many ways to just up the ante, up the power level. I mean, Metagross in general and Latios, you know, are really strong. Manaphy with simple Tail Glow can
that just
can just like go off the rails. And then Gigas, of course, being able to change its ability with roleplay can be, it's like, if that gets out of hand, then that's just another thing that is going to be near impossible to deal with. So Brit starts off both with a Protect. This is Choice Scarf Garchomp. And so I think Britton just wanted to scout to see what was going on there. But now he has to deal with, well, there's going to be a flinch chance.
You're staring down the face of a potential 60% flinch chance on
each Pokemon for this spread move, which is just like, yeah, there's nothing you can really switch in that wants to take that. That's what's so oppressive about this Garchomp. It's like there's nothing you can do except hope.
There was the reason why Garchomp was banned from Overused back in Generation 4, and it already has great stats. It can outrun a lot of the other.
But the Latios dodges the flinch. The Togekiss dodges the Rock Slide in general. And and that is just a huge turn. Britton knew that if you let that Garchomp stay on the field clicking those Rock Slides, like eventually he'd just get whittled away. That was such a
huge break
crucial
for Brit
turn
right there. And
I mean, also just think of how low that Togekiss would be if it got hit by that Rock Slide as well.
That Togekiss, definitely after that Flash Cannon, would not have lived. So it was a wonderful turn for Brit.
Yeah, I mean, he could not have asked for anything better there. And with the Garchomp gone, I mean, that's honestly, I think, the biggest threat on Sharpie's side. A lot of his other stuff, he does have Latias still, but a lot of his other stuff is kind of more slower paced. I think the Garchomp was kind of the most oppressive thing. Britton can kind of formulate a game plan now is kind of the big thing.
Yeah. And that Togekiss isn't always in the best spot right now, taking the -1 special defense drop from Flash Cannon. So it's not as bulky as it is looking, which is why I think that Brit goes for the Protect here to try and keep that thing around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it might have just gone down to this Heat Wave. It would have been interesting with this special defense drop. And Heat Wave is actually, I think, a little bit stronger in Gen 4 than it is in Gen 9 at 100 base power.
Yeah.
Ooh, but Sharpie doubled up into this switch. I'm actually a little bit surprised he didn't go for like a Bullet Punch KO, but Latios probably wasn't in range. But yeah, no, that is significant damage on the Manaphy, and it might, if Manaphy got in for free there, like if that was a double target on Togekiss, then it might just be game. But that damage on Manaphy, I think, is so crucial with slowing it down from, just steamrolling at this point.
Yeah. And now, with that Scizor being burned, with having Guts, not only do you have the huge attack stat now, you also have to take into account that Togekiss can't go for something like a Thunder Wave to try and slow down that Scizor. So that thing is basically immune to Thunder Wave. Yeah, it can get redirected, but after that attack boost, I don't know if Togekiss is going to be able to be
the Guts attack boost. Oh, I actually thought that would do so much more. I guess Togekiss isn't a fairy type, but Britain
Yeah,
might have trained that to just be super physically bulky, because I think naturally it has a lot of
yeah,
special defense, but it seemed to take that better than it took the
yeah.
Flash Cannon by quite a ways.
Brit
And
does
Earth
go
Power,
for,
I think Sharpie expected that Togekiss to go down there, and it did
yeah,
not. That's actually a huge turn for Brit.
yeah.
That is,
And
yeah, really interesting.
especially with getting the tail glow up, that Manaphy is going to be doing a lot of damage right now.
Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, Sharpie's team is on the back foot. He'd really love to have that Garchomp as an option to Earthquake, bypass that Follow Me, and potentially KO the Manaphy. But yeah, his team, Scizor and Heatran, are lacking speed control to threaten it here. And yeah, it's interesting to see. You'd think Scizor can probably live a Surf. It's basically oh man, it's gonna be. I think it's
But
times 3 damage the Surf in Gen 4. In Gen 9 it would be times 4, but I think it's only times 3 damage here. Tyranitar comes out. That's not looking good for Sharpie. That's
yeah,
not the Mon you want to have there. I think Latias is kind of what would be required here just to eat up a potential Surf. Follow Me comes out.
and
All right,
here
how much do you
comes
think this is
that
doing, Riley?
deadly surf. That T-Tar is as good as dead.
Oh, especially with the critical
Ooh,
hit.
yeah, that
Oh
crit
gosh.
that secured its fate. It does get up the sandstorm, but after that, like
So now it's a
the
question
special,
of can the Scizor, yeah, what can the Scizor do after taking this Surf? I think is the big question here.
if it can pick it,
Oh my gosh, the Scizor is
yeah,
down!
that's it's the thing is like Caesar is can be pretty bulky and but that's a +4 boosted
Oh
tail glow
gosh.
stab Manaphy.
Yeah.
It's going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that just about does it then. That's crazy that Manaphy came in, took more than half of its health, still was able to find the time to set up, and then I think just because Chirpy's Garchomp had fainted, he didn't bring Latias. He didn't have any speed to deal with the Manaphy after it got the Tail Glow boost. I mean, once Britain clicked that, it was just game over.
Yeah, and Heatran tries it might, it's not going to be able to do much here.
No, it's gonna. Unfortunately, this Heatran is not Bright Powder, which I think it would be what it would need here to continue lasting in this game. Gengar. Oh, that's a Compound Eyes Hypnosis. So I think in PBR, Hypnosis is 70% accurate. So I think that brings it to that makes that move extremely accurate there,
Yeah.
and that just kind of rubs salt in the wounds a little bit there.
Yeah, about a 90% chance to hit that up Hypnosis, which in a format that we don't see a lot of Spore, that's about as best you can do for reliable sleep. That Heatran this is frankly just game over right here.
Yeah, I think in the way we set up the tournament, I do think sleep can be very overpowered. We're starting to see it here a little bit, and yeah,
Oh
Sharpie
yeah.
realizes that there's nothing that Heatran can do from this position, and yeah, Britain takes home the win.
Amoongus was framed.
So I think you and Britt both ended up with 3. No, I think your Clefable went down to extreme speed. So I think that should put
Mm.
Britain at the top of the group after 1 week. But congrats to you, congrats to Britain. Any final thoughts here before we part ways until the second round of games?
Well, as we've kind of said for a long time in VGC, if there's a rock slide, there's a way, and definitely that came into account for Brit. He definitely needed that rock slide to not flinch and to miss the Togekiss, and he got exactly what he needed to catapult himself to a win in this match. That rock slide very much determined the course of this match, and a bit of bad luck on Sharpie's end, but it Brit must be feeling a sigh of relief
Yeah.
that he didn't get flinched or
No, exactly.
KO'd
Just
on the Togekiss.
that opening where Britt was able to eliminate the Garchomp so quickly. Had that Garchomp
Oh,
been
yeah.
able to stick around, we're looking at a completely different game. Yeah, and I guess where there's a rock slide, there's a way, but You just don't want that to be your
There was
only
a rock
way.
slide, and Brit found the way.
Britain. Yeah, that is true. You can always dodge it. What else was I gonna say? Oh, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this content. We're gonna be back in a few days with round 2. Thank you so much for tuning in.